Hello everybody, this is going to be an achieve hunt for the game Diaries, developed and published by XSX Games, who are kind enough to provide me a code for this, so I'm very appreciative of them for that. With that being said, let's just check my options. In-game controls, invert Y, yes please, and let's begin. Excuse me, let us begin. There are 16 achievements, and it's basically just finish each level, it looks like. So let's start the clock. Oh, that has not inverted my controls at all. There we go.
Human life is cheap in Blackford Alley. Barely worth any more than the bullet it takes to snuff it out.
This does look like it's going to be one of their XSX Games' narration-based games where you fly through random collectibles. So it does, yeah, it does look like it's going to be very narration-based. Okay, where's the next one? Can I fly out the window? Is that what he wants me to do? Nope, apparently it does not want me to fly out through the window. I know it's down on this second bed. How the hell did I miss that? No, it's not on the bed, it's on the floor. Why is it on the floor?
Violence breeds violence here, until you can't turn the corner without seeing signs of a fight on the street.
God, saying the music's pretty nice.
People hurt each other over big deals like honor and glory for their gang, when in reality, all they're doing is throwing their lives away. Every death on the street is another festering corpse added to the flames of violence that has consumed this neighborhood. That's the way it's always been.
Maybe we should find a better neighborhood. Oh, missed it. How the hell did I miss that? Oh, Carl, I missed it again. Really?
I was a
Thank
fool
you.
to ever think I was above it all. Nothing has changed since I did what I did.
Okay, who did you kill? Did you kill Bob? That's not very nice. Poor Bob. He didn't even try and kill you. He never had the chance.
Good people still die for little to no reason, and my life is as miserable as ever.
Yeah, tell me about it.
The only difference is the guilt weighing down on my conscience every day.
Oh, excuse me. The controls do seem a lot more titchy than...
While I have yet to truly regret what I did, I hope that by writing this down for someone to see after I die, I can somehow ease this tension inside me.
Yeah, the controls seem a bit more titchy than previous XSX games, if I'm honest with you.
I don't expect confessing my sins on paper to do much for my soul, but at the very least it'll help take a load off my chest. Maybe help me sleep a little better at night, because these nights, it's not just the gunshots outside my room keeping me awake. was around 10 years old when my father was stabbed and killed by the Bloody Bishops gang.
I would say this is... why is everything bright red? Well, we're in an area that they've never used before.
Talk to anybody who knew him, and they'll tell you that he wasn't a perfect person.
Ooh, bunny.
He was a member of the White Rabbits, a gang that butted heads with the Bloody Bishops for territory on a regular basis.
I can hear it now.
Until the
Bishop
Bishops wiped them and all
D4
other
to
competition out
H7.
altogether. He might have been a gangster too, hardly any better than the ones that killed him if some of his acquaintances were to be believed. But he was still my father. Whatever he did in the streets to pay our bills, he was nothing but kind to his family. My mother loved him, my little sister adored him, and my older brother idolized him. Me? I was just grateful that I had a father who cared for me, while most people I knew had fathers who walked out on them at birth.
Okay, we're missing one. Come on, camera. Don't be a penis. Oh. See, the problem with FPXR games is they never let you look around. They just always have right stickers and movement as well, and it is so frustrating. My God, it's frustrating. You don't need 3 different kinds of movement. You don't need the D-pad, the left stick, and the right stick. You don't need it. One form of movement for these games is enough. Let people rotate the camera and look around for things.
The night that he was taken away from me was the night that my life as I knew it came crashing down. I was there when it happened.
I'm not gonna lie. The music in this game has been a big step up from music in previous games. I ain't gonna lie.
My father had just walked out of our house to go about his business as a member of the White Rabbits. I still don't know exactly his job was in the gang, but I could make an educated guess. It was a well-known joke in the neighborhood that the White Rabbit's fur was only white because of all the cocaine they were packing.
Do you know Tony Montana? Got a boat here from Havana.
He was dressed in his gang color that day, presumably to announce to everyone around him to not fuck with him, or risk invoking the wrath of the White Rabbits. It ended up having the opposite effect.
Well, you know what they say, knife to see you knife.
His pristine white jacket, his symbol of allegiance to his gang, was dyed red when a member of the Bloody Bishops ran up and stabbed him in the chest. I can remember the sound of the knife piercing flesh.
Well, you know what they say, a man with two knives is top of the world. Well, I don't know, guys, but I gotta say this feels pretty terrific. Oh god, I'm putting in Simpsons references in 2021. What the fuck's wrong with me?
The fear in his voice and the cracking of his ribs as the knife forced its way into his heart. His attacker kept stabbing his already collapsed body over and over again. Just to make sure that he was never going to get up again. I can only pray that he was already dead by the first stab, and that I only imagine the sounds of gurgling that I heard that day. My father's killer was not a well-known gang member when I first saw him.
God, it looks like I'm going down the corridor from Saints Row 1.
He was little more than another hoodlum from the Bloody Bishops who killed a man from a rival gang just to boost his street cred. But I burned the image of his face into my mind.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
It haunted me every night for the remainder of my short childhood.
Oh, that was weird. Okay, good job, game. That's a bit of a weird,
After my father's death, my mother
despawning
fell
issue.
into depression.
Culling and drawing shit out, that's what he's doing.
My sister and I tried her best to comfort her, but being children, neither her nor I could do much to help support our family.
Oh, come on. Smeg off. Wait, you put me all the way back here? Really, game? Really? Are you kidding me, bro? Okay, it just zips us through there. Well, thanks, game. Thanks for that.
My older brother, driven by rage and grief, joined the White Rabbits in an attempt to continue our father's legacy.
Oh yeah, that worked out well for him, didn't it?
It might have been a legacy of crime and violence, but I suppose in his mind it was a way to keep our father alive in his heart. He died in the same gang war that wiped out all competition for the Bloody Bishops, shot in the neck in the middle of a firefight, and left to bleed out on the cold concrete ground by ally and enemy alike.
Perhaps he shouldn't have joined a gang then. Just saying. Is it up here? It wouldn't come back up here, would it? Surely not. Yeah, it wouldn't have come back up here, I don't think. Oh, good job, game. Thanks for that. Swear that wasn't there before.
I only hope he had some sense of inner peace as he died fighting for our father. My mother was devastated after my father died, but she broke entirely when my older brother joined him.
Maybe your older brother was a bit of a dumbass then.
She was already throwing herself into her multiple part-time jobs to help raise us without our father's blood money paying our bills.
Still spawning stuff as I get to it. Oh dear. Don't put shit in if the
When my
engine
brother
can't handle
died,
it.
she hardly ever came home sober anymore.
Right, it's still spawning shit into the bathroom that I've been in for what, 20 seconds? 25 seconds now?
What little time she didn't spend working, she spent at the local pub drinking her troubles away, only to come home drunk in the wee hours of the morning for not nearly enough rest before her next shift.
And the fan has just mysteriously moved. What? Excuse me. What? EPXR Games. Guys, you need to update your engine, dudes. You really need to update your engine. See, it's moving again. I don't think the game knows where it's supposed to be.
Because of that, I had to take over caring for my little sister, Natalie. She was always a well-behaved girl.
Maybe she had common sense that your father and your older brother did not.
The most precious little thing in the world, not to mention unusually optimistic.
Okay, so where's the note? It definitely wasn't in here, was it? It definitely wasn't in the kitchen. I literally couldn't see it. Now I'm second guessing myself. No, I don't think it was. Nope, not in here. Oh, I bet it's over there. I haven't been in there. There we go. Oh, hello. Apparently you can't go through a little girl's head. Good to know, I guess.
I swear, you could throw shit at her face, and she'd use it as fertilizer for a flower to give to you.
To be honest, she looks
She
like
was a welcome ray of
she's
constant
powering up for a
sunshine in my
spirit bomb.
otherwise bleak life. Even if her absurd cheerfulness made me wonder if she had a few screws loose at times. I practically raised her with help from our absent mother's money after the deaths in our family. But as much as I loved her, and worried for my mother's declining mental and physical health, I could never let go of the same hate and spite that had consumed my older brother until he succumbed to it.
Why are we in what appears to be a giant freezer?
Since my brother couldn't carry out vengeance for our father, I decided to continue his work. I thought that by doing that, I'd be able to not make his death be entirely in vain. I was a lot more exact with vengeance than my brother was, though.
That's bullshit. Don't lead me down this bloody room if you don't want me to go through the bars, which are clearly easily enough for me to get. Really?
Unlike him, I was able to see the face of our father's murderer, while he only saw the colors he wore. So when I spotted my father's killer years later swaggering around the neighborhood one day wearing the Bloody Bishop's red colors, I started planning. I was never the strongest kid in school, but I like to think that I was cleverer than most.
Okay, have I missed one? I think that was spelt wrong, you know. I'm just going to check that corpse again. I think that was spelt, I know what you are planing. I think they spelled that wrong. I'm just going to double check that actually. Yeah, I was right. I know what you are planing. They've misspelt that. Well, I've obviously missed one somewhere. Right. Okay. Where the flaming monkey spunk is it? Is it under the table? I swear to God if it's under the table.
Being a bit, well, quite a bit on the short side, I also didn't stand out, no matter where I was. Blending into the background to avoid trouble was basically second nature to me. For once in my life, I was glad that I looked so unremarkable.
Nothing else in here? Doesn't look like it.
It let me stalk the man who murdered my father, with him none the wiser to my presence. He seemed to be on the young side, barely into his 20s by the looks of it. Everywhere he went, he did so in an aggressive swagger that demanded everyone's fear and attention. I can only assume that he was only a teenager when he killed my father. Not that that made him any less evil in my eyes. I wasn't about to forgive him, just because he was a minor when he ruined life for my family.
Let's just do an achievement check. We're at 310, 616.
After stalking my father's murderer for weeks and memorizing his usual routes and routines, I finally learned his name, Sam Tenshanks Smith. Yeah, I was a bit confused about the nickname too at first.
Anyone worth shanking is worth shanking 10 times, apparently. What's with the whales? Seriously, what's with the whales? So how the hell did I miss that up there?
Then I overheard him bragging to some mates about the story that earned him that prestigious title. According to him, he got the nickname after he stabbed a senior member of a rival gang 10 times when he was only 15. A rival gang called the White Rabbits that no longer exists after the Bloody Bishops put an end to them, once and for all. He even claimed that he was part of the final firefight. I put two and two together, and my rage reached a boiling point. That senior gang member he seemed so proud of killing was my father. That final firefight with the White Rabbits was the one where my older brother died. And although the exact details of my father's murder have faded over the years, I knew for a fact that the bastard stabbed him way more than just 10 times. At the time, it felt to me like 10 Shanks reveled in killing members of my family. But deep down, I knew he was just some punk who killed for the glory he got from it.
No, up there, you stupid. Thank you.
A simple-minded mad dog that the bloody bishops pat on the head every time he's sent out to kill their enemies. That didn't make me want to kill him any less, though.
Okay, now this room, I'm pretty sure I've been in this room before in a previous game. I swear I've played it in a Life of Fly game, also by XSX Games.
I waited until I knew
99%
all
sure
of Sam's
I
little
recognise
habits
this
by heart
building.
before striking. The reverence he showed when talking to senior gang members in contrast to his flippant tone with his parents. The favorite shows he'd always make time for to watch at home every week. His favorite food, the paths he took, and the friends he met. I learned it all, hoping that any information at all would help give me an edge to my quarry. In truth, I think I may have been putting it off for as long as possible out of fear. I'd never even been in a fight before, yet here I was planning to commit premeditated murder. However, my hesitation was not out of pity for my intended victim. Had I been given the opportunity to do so without consequence, I would have jumped at the chance to kill him.
Oh, there it is.
But if I were to be caught after killing him, or even worse, be seen by his fellow gang members in the middle of attacking him, my little sister would be left alone with no one to take care of her. Our mother sure as hell wouldn't have been able to. She barely made time away from work to sleep, much less care for her children. I don't blame her for it, but it meant that taking care of Natalie was entirely on my shoulders.
Yeah, I've definitely been in this level before.
If I were to kill
Now,
Sam
the problem
Tenching
with-
Smith, I would
the
have to do
problem
so in a way
with-
that would let me get away scot-free, to
the
see my
problem with
sister grow up with the
XSX
kind of
games
childhood
is-
she deserved.
These flying collectible levels is that eventually they just reuse the assets with some other geezer talking. I mean, they've done it in the Life of Fly games, and it's frustrating. It does honestly feel
Other
like
than his
they're
usual routes and hangout spots, I
purposefully
also studied the way Sam fought in a few brawls I managed to catch him in.
easy gamer score games just for the sake of, and there isn't that much variety.
I'm no martial arts expert, but even I could tell that he wasn't a trained fighter. Sure, he was taller than the average guy, and from the looks of it could throw one hell of a punch, but his techniques were sloppy despite his clear strength. It was like seeing a spiked ball and chain being flailed around, powerful, but clumsy. He always starts fights with a right hook that he puts all of his strength in, presumably in hopes of finishing the fight in a single punch. It always leaves him staggering from the weight of his own punch, though his victim is always left much worse off. Nine times out of 10, if he misses his punch, then the person he's fighting has a chance to counterattack with a punch or a kick of their own.
Why are the shark's nostrils glowing?
I took note of that fact in particular. I'm no fighter. I'm probably the furthest thing from someone you'd think would pick a fight with a known gang member. The closest thing to a fight I'd been in was kicking an aggressive stray dog that was growling at my sister. But in this case, I wasn't looking for a fight with Sam. I didn't need to brawl with him to prove that I was better, or any of that rubbish. I just needed to kill him.
I know I've been in this room before. Yeah, this is a reused level with slight modifications.
What are Sam's most frequented spots at night?
They've had levels. They've had this level in a Life of Fly game, 100% guaranteed.
Every Friday, like clockwork, he'd walk into Big Ben's burger place and order the same takeout every time: a double cheeseburger with fries, Coke, and special sauce. I found it a bit weird at first. I'd expected someone like him to be drinking long into the night at a pub or a bar somewhere, not chowing down on a burger in some small mom-and-pop shop. So I did a little more digging and started staking out the burger joint every Friday, thinking that he must have had some ulterior motive to frequenting the place. Turns out I was right. He was just the one the Bloody Bishops had tasked with extorting the place for their protection racket. That special sauce he loved to order so much was really just $500 tucked under the food in the brown delivery bag. That helped explain why the little old couple who ran the place looked so terrified whenever he walked through the door. On days when he was feeling especially dickish, he'd even mess with some of the sit-down customers before he left, flipping over their drinks, feeling up women's skirts, stealing food even though he already got some for free, that sort of thing. As if I needed any more justification for killing him.
Okay, where's this last? Is it going to be in it? Oh no, it's down there. Bit of an odd place to put it, but sure, why not?
It was at that point that I thought that killing him would not only fuel my revenge, but also help a lot of people out in the neighborhood while I was at it.
I don't think I recognise this level. At least I don't recall.
It was on a rainy Friday night when I decided to carry out my father and brother's revenge. The sky was pouring as if it was mourning the life that was about to be taken that night, though I doubted that anyone shared its feelings.
That's also a very interesting graphic they've got. It's not actually raining. What they've done is they've put a raining effect around my flowing, glowing
Certainly
orb
not me,
thing.
since I was the one waiting out in the rain for the chance to take him.
It's connected to the camera. It's not connected to anything else. Like, it's not actually raining. It's the
I'd waited
effect
so
is
long for
connected
that
to
moment.
the camera using an area of effect. Guaranteed. That's what they've done.
All my silent stalking and meticulous planning and holding on to grief for the sake of vengeance. It was all to lead up to that one moment when I could take the life of the man who ruined mine.
You only got one shot. You better make it count.
The heavy guilt I felt from all the lies I told Natalie whenever I stayed out late would be washed away alongside his blood in the rain. At least, that's what I thought as I gripped the knife so hard my knuckles turned white. I was convinced that I would never be able to find closure until I killed him with my own two hands. But as I stood there with my disposable raincoat's hood up in the alley with the pitch black sky pouring down on me, I almost wish that he wouldn't show up. I knew for a fact that he would come passing by, just like any other day. Even if he didn't want to be outside, the Bloody Bishops weren't going to let a little rain keep them from their sweet, sweet extortion money. He had no choice but to go to Big Ben's burger place to pick up the money and pass through the alley where I was waiting to get back home. I'd planned for this night for the past year, going through every scenario in my head to make sure that I would not be caught no matter what.
Oh,
And yet when the time came to carry out my carefully laid out plan, I found myself hesitant to go through with it. However, it wasn't cowardice that held me back. I knew that that was the night that I would forever be changed. Even if nobody but me will ever know it, I would no longer be Jack Spencer, the kind older brother and dutiful son from that night on. The moment I plunge my knife into him, I'll become a murderer. The very sort of scum that took my father and brother away from me. He turned my loving mother into the neglectful alcoholic she is now. How could I even look Natalie in the eye after that and still call myself a good role model for her? It took so much for me to convince myself that it was worth it, and even then, I remained unsure. That is, until I saw him walk into the alley for myself. The bastard bumped into me and said something along the lines of, "Out of my way, little bitch," as he did so. I got a crystal clear look at his face under the hood because of it. Aside from the bear's tints of stubble on his chin, he looked exactly the same as he did the day he killed my father in front of me. He must have been a little more than annoyed that he still had to go out in the heavy rain to collect money for the gang like the good little dog he was, playing fetch for his master. He wasn't wearing a raincoat or holding an umbrella. All he had to shield himself from the rain was a simple gray hoodie pulled over his head. I guess that he must not have looked into the weather forecast for the area, like I did in preparation. The rainwater had soaked into the thick fabric of his hoodie, weighing him down and making his already sloppy swagger even slower.
The graphics of this level is actually pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie.
His sagging trousers, which he already wore way lower than should be practical, were now like wet weighted shackles around his ankles. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. I waited until he had his back to me. I wasn't looking for a drawn-out fight, just a quick kill. I thought that if I was lucky, I'd be able to take him out in one fell swoop by stabbing him in the back. I took a deep breath, drew my knife from my pocket, and got to work. My first thought when planning Sam's death was to use a kitchen knife, but I'd read that their handles tended to slip when used for stabbing and ended up hurting the person holding it. The last thing I needed was my DNA on Sam's corpse, so I opted to use an old combat knife I bought for $2 at a garage sale in a different part of the city instead. Of course, I also wore gloves to make sure that I didn't leave my fingerprints anywhere near the crime scene. When I plunged my knife into Sam Smith's back, I felt a weight being lifted off my shoulders. Then, the cracking of his spine at the tip of the knife. He let out a high-pitched scream of surprise and pain that was drowned out by the rain and thunder. I was sure that he was already done for by the first stab. Best case scenario for him at that point was he somehow got medical attention in time and became a paraplegic for life. That wasn't enough for me, though. When he gutted my father like a fish, he stabbed him so many times that he got a nickname for it. I was about to return the favor in kind. I brought my knife down on his back over and over again. I lost count of how many times by the 10th stab.
Well, you just contradicted yourself there. You lost count by the 10th stab. That's contradictory, my friend.
In that moment, hearing him beg for mercy on the ground with his face planted in the dirt made all the waiting worth it.
Excuse me.
Though he couldn't see me with his hood now draped over his face, a part of me wanted him to know who I was before he died. To be more precise, I wanted him to know exactly why he was dying like a dog on the streets that day, and for that fact to haunt him for the rest of his very short life.
Back to the church for like the third time this game.
I
Like
flipped
reusing
Sam
your
over on the
assets
ground.
much.
Blood poured from the holes on his back and drizzled down a nearby drain alongside the rain, erasing
Let me
any
guess,
evidence.
it's not going to be the right
exactly
person
as I
who was
planned.
killed.
I looked him in the eyes, wide with fear and confusion. I wasn't wearing any gang colors, just a plain clear raincoat splattered with blood and dripping with rainwater over nondescript clothes that any witness would have had a hard time remembering.
Come on, camera. Oh, it's up there.
He must have been racking his brain for gangs that I could have belonged to. He opened his mouth again, probably to ask me why I was doing this. I slashed him across the throat before he could get a word out, but I gave him an answer anyways. I told him exactly who I was. The son of the man he killed to earn this stupid little nickname. I don't know if he even remembered who my father was anymore. That didn't really matter anymore, though. He wouldn't have been able to give an answer while choking on his own blood. I watched as the life faded from his eyes. For the first time since my brother's death, a genuine smile of happiness spread across my face. It was the last thing Sam Tenshank Smith saw before I sent him to hell with one last stab to the eye. After killing Sam, I made even more cuts around his body and waited for him to bleed out as much as possible so that the rain would wash the blood down the drain. I knew that nobody would come around the alleyway. Sam himself chose to use the alleyway as his usual route because people hardly ever came by, making it less likely that anyone would see him while he was carrying his extortion money. Once most of the blood had been drained from his corpse, I dragged him over to a nearby dumpster and threw him inside. I spent some time covering it up with trash so that the dumpster truck driver won't notice him when he comes to pick up the trash.
Oh, for God's sake. Thank you.
I also threw the knife I used to kill him down the drain to be forever lost in the sewers. I'd have dumped Sam's body in there too, had the opening been big enough. I then washed off the blood from my raincoat with the rain, pocketed it, and used a collapsible umbrella to make my way home. I took the long way around, passing by an old warehouse where homeless people were known to frequent. As expected, there was no one there at night. A charity event in the neighborhood had opened the food kitchen for the homeless that night. Bless their souls. I used one of the trash cans that the homeless had been using as a makeshift fire pit for the warmth to burn the raincoat I wore during the murder.
Okay, where's the next one? Oh, there it is.
I arrived home before my mother did, with no one the wiser. I was happy that I could finally go back to just living my life now that Sam was dead. But when Natalie welcomed me back home with a smile, I felt something else well up inside me. Shame. Not of being a murderer, but of not being the same good person Natalie clearly thought I was. I've been living a lie since that day. Pretending to be a kind and helpful older brother to my little sister who had no idea of what I'd done. The worst part, despite my feelings of guilt for lying to my sister, I've yet to regret killing Sam Smith. I replay his murder over and over in my head every night, but it doesn't haunt me. I miss it. That feeling of power over another human being. The indescribable satisfaction of a carefully laid out plan carried out to perfection. The catharsis that came after I unleashed all the righteous indignation that had been welling up inside me since I was 10 years old. I want to feel it again. Only my love for Natalie has been keeping me away from the urge to experience the thrill of killing once more.
Wow. Look at these things floating in midair because it hasn't spawned the table. You really need to upgrade your fucking engine.
I can only pray it stays that way.
Okay, well this has been the Achieve Hunt. As you can see, it's Murder Diaries in 12121, which is a nice solid number. Lol. There will be a sequel to this, and I believe it's coming out in the middle of October as well. Okay, so yeah, you need to sort your engine out, guys. You really do. Other than that, though, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you EPXR Games for providing me a code for this. I look forward to doing more of these in future. Until then, take care.